Hey everybody, after beating Bloodborne and completing the Getting Good series, I thought what better way to cap off the series than a top 10 Bloodborne boss list. So here we are. For this list there are two rules. This list is based off bosses I beat in my Getting Good series only, sorry for you Chalice boss loving cucks. I hate the Chalice bosses in case you didn't know. The second rule of this list is it's my own personal opinion and what I think isn't fact, but my word is law. Let's get started. Starting at the bottom of the list is the Cleric Beast. This is the first boss of Bloodborne, and even though he isn't at the top of my list, he is still a great fight. The Cleric Beast has such a good introduction as you're walking towards this bridge and this huge monster just jumps the damn wall screaming. Then you get into a boss fight that is simple compared to the rest of the game, yet super satisfying. This boss is simple when it comes to fighting. He just swings around a lot and is screaming and yelling. But he can switch it up for the fight with adding in special grabs where you get picked up and slammed into the ground. And he has another special move as well where he'll like scream and charge up and then jump into the air and try to slam down on you. But these attacks aren't too hard to learn and adjust to, and then you'll be counterattacking and whittling down his health. But as a side note, he is weak to fire, so using Molotovs will do decent damage and allow you to vary up how you attack. But in the end, he's a simple boss with an enjoyable introduction, which is why he made the list, but he's only at number 10. The ninth boss of my Bloodborne list is Father Gascoigne, who has a literal horror movie killer introduction.
Beasts all over the shop.
Which is cool, albeit a tad bit scary. But getting into the boss fight, he's definitely a step above number 10. First of all, he's a human-sized boss, so you're fighting a smaller target. Then when it comes to him fighting, he uses a trick weapon as well. He does axe swings that can kill you fast, and will shoot you with a shotgun if you get out of his axe's range. Then he can switch the weapon into a halberd, which has longer range and hits even harder than the axe. But thankfully, he loses shotgun privilege when he has the halberd out. Then, after all these different attacks, this boss introduces a second phase form. This boss literally becomes a Reddit alpha male. But in seriousness, he turns into a huge wolf and will rip you a new one if you backpedal. But with good side steps and staying locked in, he can be beat. Though this boss brings many things into the fight, he's still too simple and easy compared to the other bosses to come. In the 8th place, we've got the Moon Presence, the final and secret boss of the game. To be honest, the only reason this boss is in the number 8 spot is due to him being a secret boss, and he looks cool as hell. He was really easy to beat, but you have to do a whole boss fight to get to him. So how you do in the first fight can affect how you do against the Moon Presence, but he's not really that difficult. Then after beating him, you unlock the God ending, which is my favorite ending.
Are you cold? Oh, good hunter.
Next up on the list is Mergo's Wet Nurse, who comes after the literal shittiest boss in all of Bloodborne. But we aren't talking about him right now. First of all, this boss has such a cool design, a tall hunched over figure that has a cloak on so you can't see them, that has an ungodly amount of blades coming out of their cloak for some reason. What makes this boss fight difficult is it has those blades that swing all around it, meaning that you can't just run and keep hacking at the boss. You have to wait and look for openings, which makes this boss fight difficult compared to other ones that we've had so far. And also, this boss has an awesome special attack where they cloak the whole arena in darkness and make multiple clones that are attacking you. This made such an awesome spectacle that put me on the defense that made me love the boss fight even more. All around, this boss was just a different breed compared to the ones so far, which earned it its 7th spot. At number 6, we have the the Shadow of Yharnam. To get to this boss, you literally have to go through Indiana Jones' version of hell. Then you get to this small arena and 3 black guys come out the fog ready to scrap. They all have simple attacks, but what makes them different is each one varies in how they fight. One guy pretty much uses only long distance fire attacks, shooting fireballs. He does have a mace, but I've rarely seen him use it. Then the second guy uses only a sword and chases you around and fights aggressive. But there's also a third guy who uses a sword plus a flamethrower for area denial like he's playing TF2. But by themselves, these guys wouldn't be much of a challenge. But the fact that these 3 are working together in an already small arena makes this fight challenging and fun. But that isn't the end. Once you do enough damage, these bosses go into a second phase. This second phase, or form, buffs their attacks, making them bigger, stronger, and faster. Also, the sword guy gets a cross-map sword strike, which is just a whole lot of garbage. But all these things make the boss exciting, fun, and a great challenge, putting it, in my opinion, miles above the other ones, because I really love this boss fight. Now we've reached the upper echelon of boss fights. In 5th place, we've got Gerhrman the First Hunter.
Tonight, Gerhrman joins the hunt.
Depending on what ending you choose, this is your final boss, and what a final boss he is. First of all, I thought the guy was crippled, only to discover he's 6'5". Then he pulls out a burial blade and a modified gun that hits like a train. He fights aggressive, swinging around his burial blade like a trained professional and not hesitating to fill me with lead. He will also dodge attacks and can even parry with his gun. Then he can switch his weapon into a huge scythe that swings around way too fast, doing too much damage. I know this boss fight is very similar to Father Gascoigne, but it is more difficult. It takes place in a safe space, and this man has been an ally through the whole game, even allowing you to use his doll for whatever purposes you need. But now, I must sadly put him down, but he earned his top 5 spot among the greats. This is just a little bit of a quick intermediate. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I will look at comments if you decide to comment, but yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. In the 4th spot, we've got Matyr Logarius, the British King. What put this boss fight so high on the list is the spectacle of it all. You go through a whole castle and then finish off that area with an epic fight on a rooftop. Then when it comes to old Matyr Logarius, I know I say his name wrong, probably, himself, he is no pushover. First of all, this man knows some weird type of magic and hurls souls at you and all through the arena. Then he also has a sword that he uses 2 different types of attacks with. The first being simple slashes, but if you get caught in them, you will probably die. But then he also has a special attack where he slams his sword into the ground and summons a million swords to stab you. I don't know where he gets them from, but even after all that, he still isn't done. He also has a scythe which he will swing around with and spin with and slam it down on you. And all of these attacks with his scythe do crazy damage. But that's what makes this boss fight so good. The boss is difficult and the location is easily one of the best places I've ever seen. And that's what makes this boss fight one of the most memorable fights in all of the game. Now we've come to the 3-headed goat of bosses. And the 3rd is the Orphan of Kos. This boss is an absolute monster and the hardest boss in the game, as well as the final boss of the DLC. But he's still an amazing boss fight. First of all, his arena is literally on a beach and the backdrop is amazing. Also, you can actually get into the water and fight if you want to. Now when it comes to fighting him, his weapon is literally a placenta fused to his arm, which is crazy. And he can take your life easily with that placenta. He does basic slashes which can kill you easily. He has a move where he slams into the ground and has an AoE attack. He also has a move where he spins his placenta around himself and he'll leap away. Then, if you somehow get too far away, he decides not to chase you, he will throw his blood at you. And that's not even the end either. He has a second form, which makes him bigger and all his attacks stronger, and gives him more moves. Now he'll throw 4 projectiles of blood instead of 1, his AoE attacks are bigger, and all of a sudden he's Zeus and can summon lightning that goes through the whole arena. But this is what makes the boss fight so good and brings him to the top. It is an amazingly designed boss fight, one of the best arenas in the game, that finishes off an amazing DLC. In the runner-up spot, we've got Lady Maria of the Astral Clock Tower.
A corpse should be left well alone.
This fight is easily one of my favorites. First of all, it takes place in a clock tower. As you walk into the tower, you meet a dead girl who gets up and starts getting ready to put me down. When it comes to fighting Lady Maria, it's like a dance. Backpedaling will get you killed. She's fast and has a special dodge making her harder to hit. I also have the same dodge which makes me like fighting her more, but when it comes to fighting, this boss wields a trick weapon. She does basic slashes with it and a few lunge attacks. Then eventually, as you keep fighting her, she ups the fight, stabbing herself and adding in blood attacks. These blood attacks increase range and the type of damage she does. Then after fighting her for a while, she goes even further beyond for the end and sets her blood on fire. In her final phase, she can easily kill you with a few good attacks, and she will do a lot of different fire attacks at the end. But as long as you keep dodging and counterattacking, you can win. Now we've made it to the peak of Bloodborne bosses. At number 1, we've got Ludwig the Accursed. I've got nothing but praise for the boss I die to a lot. First of all, he has an amazing introduction, as a tortured soul hypes up Ludwig and begs for help. Then this huge beast shows up. In the first phase, Ludwig is all beast mode. He slams his hand around trying to hit you, he tries to bite you as well. He will also charge at you like a damn bull. He also has a move where he jumps in the air and tries to belly flop you to death, and sprays this mysterious white liquid at you. You have to have fast reactions and know when to counterattack and when to get back, or you will die fighting him. But once you take down his health enough, you are greeted with one of the coolest cutscenes in the game, as Ludwig pulls out the staple of FromSoft Games weapons, the Moonlight Greatsword. Now this fight takes a whole new turn. He does slashes with the sword, sends projectile beams flying with it. He will literally slam the sword down directly in front of you to hit you, and also do a charge up explosion. And all of this happens in a blood-soaked arena of his victims, and it is just amazing. The perfect example of a Soulsborne boss fight, and the best Bloodborne boss. Really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, you liked the Bloodborne content, there's much more that I already did. It should be here, like my series and my last finale. So if you guys like the Bloodborne content, definitely go watch it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next serious video like this.